Okay, all right, here we go. So we are now on the last question of the 2017 macro mock exam, FRQ number 3. So Singapore and Japan are trading partners. The Japanese economy is operating at full employment, and Japan's current account balance is zero. Okay, if your question is what is, I don't know any of that, don't worry. I'm here. I'm going to talk you through it. So let's look at A. Assume the exchange rate between Singapore dollar and the Japanese yen changes from 1 Singapore dollar equaling 82 yen to 1 Singapore dollar equals 65 yen. Does the Japanese yen appreciate or depreciate against the Singapore dollar? So here we go. The way I like to think about it, because these really confuse me. All right. If you're thinking like, oh, I don't get confused, I get confused all the time. So here's how I think about these. Can the Singapore dollar buy more stuff? If the Singapore dollar can buy more stuff, then that would mean that it appreciates. Okay. So here, can the 1 Singapore dollar buy more or less Japanese yen? The Singapore dollar can buy 82 yen, but then it changes to buying 65 yen. Is the Singapore dollar stronger or weaker? It's weaker, right? Think about it this way. $1 could buy you 82 t-shirts, but now $1 can only buy you 65 t-shirts. So the Singapore dollar depreciates. What does that mean for the Japanese yen? If the Singapore dollar depreciates, that has to mean that the Japanese yen will appreciate. So the Japanese yen will appreciate relative to the Singapore dollar. Okay, that's my thought process on that. Number B, or letter B. Given your answer in part A, will each of the following increase, decrease, or remain the same? So the price of Japanese goods in Singapore dollars. So can the Singapore dollar, what happened to the value of the Singapore dollar? It will be decreasing. So that would mean the price of Japanese goods in Singapore dollars will increase. Prices go up, or it seems like it. Japanese goods are more expensive. So because that happens, what happens to exports? If you can buy less from Japan, or I mean, I'm sorry, if the prices go up in Japan because of your dollar depreciating, do you buy more stuff or less stuff from Japan? You buy less. So what happens to Japan's net exports? Japan's net exports will decrease because people will not be buying from Japan. C. Draw a single correctly labeled graph with a long run Phillips curve and the short run Phillips curve for Japan. On the graph, show the new short run equilibrium as a result of the change in Japan's net exports from part B, labeled point X. So we need the long run Phillips curve. What is the Japan economy currently in? They are at full employment. So that would mean on part C, we need the inflation, we need the short run Phillips curve, we need the long run Phillips curve, and we need unemployment. Okay. So you are here. If your exports decreases, what happens to aggregate demand? You are correct. It would be the decrease. Okay. If your aggregate demand goes down, what happens to output? Output goes down. Because output goes down, unemployment goes up. So we're going to shift unemployment up. What happened to price level? Well, if aggregate demand goes down, price level goes down. Price is down, inflation down. So that means we need to go down, and over this, right here is point X. So we get a point for drawing everything and labeling everything. And then we get a point for showing point X. So that is how I would answer C. D, given your answer in part B double I, which of the following will be a deficit, surplus, or zero for Japan? So don't worry, I didn't leave you hanging. Okay, I told you I would explain to you what is the current account. So the current account is basically what are your imports and your exports doing. That's all the current account really is. Is just what is your trade balance. Okay, so if your exports are going down, okay, what happens to your current account? If your current account is exports minus imports, and your exports go down, what happens to your current account? Well, it has to decrease. So the current account balance will be in a deficit because exports decrease. Well, I shouldn't say X. Exports decrease. Okay. Now, what happens to the financial or capital account? So here's the deal. Remember, when you're dealing with the current account and the capital account, they need to be equal to, and if you don't remember, they need to be in balance. And if they are in balance, therefore it is zero. So your current account, CA, plus your capital account, CAP, they have to be zero. So if your current account is in a deficit, right, what has to happen to your capital account to equal zero? It has to go up. So your financial capital account will be in a surplus. Okay. And there we go. That was all of question 3. So, like I said, I will be posting um, all of these writings that I did on this exam in the description below. Feel free to download that, check it out, use it to your advantage. Um, Feel free to leave me a comment if you have any questions about this exam or any suggestions for future videos that you need extra help on. So I'd be happy to help you out in any way I can. But that'll be all for today. I will be moving on to another exam. And so check out my video and my other videos if you are looking for extra help. All right. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.